for all the immigrants out there, you'll probably recognize, this kind of storyline that your parents may have told you. It's go to school, get an education, don't worry about anything else, get a job, make money, save money, buy a house, get that security, and then you can live life and have fun, and I took that very seriously, and I wanted to please my parents. And, despite all the bullying and all this trouble that I had in school, I was able to, get that education. And while I wasn't able to get into video games just due to the job market and how the markets were changing and the economy was changing in 2008, I was able to come across this idea of becoming the professional wingman. And, within a few months, I went from, servicing just a few clients in Boston, which is, where I grew up and where I was living at the time. And then I got a placement in the Wall Street Journal. And then I woke up the next morning and I was, working with clients all around the world. I mean, we're talking like, Shanghai, Sierra Leone, in Kenya, and South America. And then, obviously, here in the States and Canada. I mean, it was amazing. And that took over. And that dream that my parents wanted for me, I adopted as my own. I wanted to create that success. I wanted to have, the money, and now the money, I also got the status and a little bit of fame. And I end up in this process finding, my true love, and we eventually got married, and all these things were happening. And because this was kind of just growing beyond my control, and of course my attachment to the identity of becoming the wingman, being the go-to and the top guy in the industry, I neglected video games a lot. In fact, a lot of the stories that I adopted were actually from other people. Stories like, you don't have time for video games, you're building a business. Video games are for kids. Video games are immature. The wingman is cool. Video games are not cool. You don't want that associated with your brand. I mean, I just adopted so many of these programs and had them as my own. And so video games became dormant for a better part of a decade. And in reflection, that's where I lost a lot of my joy and my fun and my connection to the self.
I'm Thomas Edwards, creator and author of The One Up Effect, helping high-performing professionals with families have fun becoming their best self through purpose, play, passion, and performance.
We can easily forget that games are not designed for us to win. That's not its primary purpose. Games are designed to be fun.
Yeah.
And winning becomes a byproduct of playing. And so when we focus on winning, we're focused solely on outcome, whereas games are designed for us to really be mindful and focused on the experience, right? And then winning becomes a byproduct of that experience. And so I just realized through, just going back to my journal and seeing all the things that I wrote about my transformation and what I went through, and I, even the idea of gamification and game designing, there is a little bit of a difference. Gamification really focuses on rewards-based interactions, right? And so a lot of businesses and a lot of economic structures are based on that type of system.
Reward structure.
Yeah, right. And so you do something and then you get something in return, and then what you get is something in return that's to incentivize you to keep
reinforces
that
that
process,
behavior,
right?
Yeah.
And we do need that in some ways, right? We do it with our children, we do it with ourselves as well for increased motivation and to instill habits sometimes. But when you face adversity and conflict, those rewards and those external values and things may not be enough to get you over the hump through that adversity. For me, all that stuff that I accumulated in my, with the professional wingman weren't enough to get me out of the funk that I found myself in. And in some ways, the pressure of having to maintain that level actually made things worse. And so I learned that you want to be able to develop a level of intrinsic motivation, intrinsic value, really joy and fulfillment in the experience of what you're doing to be able to get through that adversity. And so this is where game design comes into play, where the experience is the overlying factor, not the outcome. the outcome just becomes a byproduct of you really being all in on the experience. And then I just learned through research as I was writing my book, The One-Up Effect, I just learned that there's so many things that playfulness and just using the art of play activates within our bodies, in our minds, and even through our spirit. And that other forms of mindfulness and other forms of practices don't actually do. You know, like I think a great example is when we play, we activate certain parts of our brains, and that other practices don't allow us to do, because, you know, curiosity, for example, doesn't always get activated in other practices, you know, like meditation. While meditation is a very powerful practice, and I recommend it as a daily practice because it helps you, it increases, you know, your gray matter in your brain. It allows you to be able to make better decisions on the fly. It has been associated with better leadership and all those things. It doesn't always activate curiosity the way that playfulness does, you know? And then you combine playfulness with other people, and all of a sudden now you're taking an isolated experience that sometimes can be very rewarding if you want to take that space, to now all of a sudden a connected experience.
You have that collective, yes.
Yes.
And that's where the creativity comes in, innovation, you know, sparks there.
Please like, subscribe, hit that bell, get notified when we put out videos, which happen almost every single day. And if you found this video interesting or inspiring, please share this with someone who might find this interesting or inspiring too. I'd love to hear what they have to say and get them in on the conversation. And if you want the exact process and science behind reducing stress, virtually eliminating burnout, and learning how to have fun creating more success in your health, wealth, self, family, marriage, career, business, and not feel the need to have to sacrifice your personal happiness or your professional ambition, you can go to thomasedwardsjr.com. Once again, this is Thomas Edwards reminding you to make life a game that you can win and have fun playing. Until next time, I'll see you around.